Florida are heating up like the August air. In fact, it may end up being the biggest reason people vote in this month's primary.
And new tonight, we're taking an in-depth look at the political forces behind the candidates who are running to make decisions for parents and students. ABC Action News anchor Paul Legrone followed the money for us tonight.
This is not the type of atmosphere our children should be taught in.
No one is exactly sure when it happened, before the pandemic, during, or after. But somewhere along the way, parents
I'm also a member of Moms for Liberty
found their voice.
They're calling it the year of the parent. What does that mean to you?
It means it's time for parents to take their seat back at the table when it comes to driving education and decisions for your children.
Tina Deskovich is one of the co-founders of Moms for Liberty. A former school board member herself in Brevard County, she's now one of the most influential voices in the debate over how kids should be educated in Florida.
What we saw during the pandemic is nationwide people saw how far they were overstepping, and parents were trying to rise up and approach their school boards, and they were getting shut down, and they were getting their mics cut off, and the meetings were getting put on Zoom. And so Tiffany and I kind of took a look at the landscape of the land and said, we can help them. We understand what the problem is, what the process is, and how to help them find their voice. And so that's why Moms for Liberty was launched.
What do you think the makeup of these school boards should look like?
I think there should be a parent's voice on the school boards.
During this 3-day summit, we're going to take the time to celebrate you.
That voice has turned into a roar, with Moms for Liberty quickly growing into a national organization with chapters all over the country. They recently held a summit in Tampa, attracting hundreds of supporters, including Governor Ron DeSantis, whose own political action committee is spending money endorsing school board members.
What do you think the biggest misconception is about Moms for Liberty that you've seen inaccurately reported?
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception, there's probably a couple, but one is that we are a political organization that is aligned strongly or being driven by the GOP, and that our funders are these big conglomerate dark money funders. Our 990 is about to come out, and people are going to see $150,000 on t-shirt sales. No media wants to believe that when I tell them, but they'll see that. Small donors, I just spoke at a press conference this morning. 5,000 small donors in one weekend came in. I'm talking under $25 a person.
Well, it's a little bit more than that. We followed the money. It's a little tricky because Moms for Liberty is listed as a nonprofit, which means they don't have to disclose where they're getting their money. But we dug through the campaign finance records, tracking down some of the money that's financing what's fast becoming a major force in education politics. According to the Florida Division of Elections, Moms for Liberty Florida, which is a separate entity at a political action committee, or PAC, raised nearly $51,000, almost all of it since June, and nearly every penny of it coming from Publix heiress Julie Fancelli, who donated $50,000 on June 23rd. 3 weeks later, in a span of 24 hours between July 11th and the 12th, the Moms for Liberty PAC cut campaign checks, $8,700 worth, to school board candidates all over the state of Florida, including races in Hillsborough, Sarasota, and Pinellas counties. Who did they give money to? Allie Legg, who's running for School Board District 6 in Hillsborough and recently endorsed by Governor Ron DeSantis. Dawn Peters, who is running for School Board District 3 in Pinellas County. And Bridget Ziegler, running for re-election to the school board in Sarasota County District 1. Ziegler's husband, Christian, is the vice chair of the Republican Party of Florida. Moms for Liberty also gets its money by hosting fundraisers. This one they held in June of 2021 at the Radisson Resort in Cape Canaveral, billed as Fearless, an evening with Megyn Kelly, the former Fox News host. General admission tickets started at $50. A copper sponsor for $1,000 got you VIP tickets to the cocktail reception. A bronze sponsor for $2,000 bought you a meet and greet with Megyn Kelly herself. And it worked all the way up to a presenting sponsor for $20,000. They got to address the audience for 3 minutes.
And so how much of the platform is about what has been portrayed as political, and how much of it is, getting a parent to have more say in their education and improving the quality of education?
We are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. 100% of our mission is to get parents a voice and a seat at the table. That is what we're here to do.
Is it inevitable that politics, I guess, are not part of making decisions when it comes to a school board? How does that factor in?
I think it's getting more and more politicized. People like to blame that on Moms for Liberty, and that's not the case. Moms for Liberty is just waking people up to how much politicizing has been happening in schools for a long time.
Are you willing to work with someone who has a entirely different perspective on what education
I think
should
you
be?
have to. You have to put children first. You're talking about me personally. When you say you, I served on the school board for 4 years, like we said. I worked with my board. We had a very good board, all from different parties, one independent, as a matter of fact, and we worked very well together. There was no games, there was no, backstabbing, there was no fighting.
But for now, there is fighting. One of the groups opposing Moms for Liberty is another nonprofit called Save Our Schools. They're running their own candidates. Lisa Shore is one of the co-founders.
I also believe that parents have a right to determine the education of their children. So believe it or not, we actually agree on that. The issue that I have is that a certain group of parents wants to determine how my child is educated. I'm a parent. I have a child in the school system. I have rights as well. And, doing things like taking away civil and human rights of our LGBTQ students, not allowing the history of people of color, indigenous peoples, not allowing that to be taught in our schools. That's taking away the rights of parents.
Hillsborough County Superintendent Addison Davis, who's battling a teacher shortage and a budget shortfall, says his focus is not the politics.
A lot of the school board races and the school board members or the people that are running for school board are parents who have pretty passionate feelings about what, they want more of a say in their child's education. How do you work with somebody like that?
At the end of the day, everyone has, learners that are in education somewhere or have been in education. So we tip our hats off for those who want to be actively engaged and involved. But at the end of the day, we've always in Hillsborough County connected with our parents and make certain that they're in the forefront of being a partner in this work.
Work that for now is playing out not just in the classroom, but also in the war rooms of school board candidates who are aiming to change education. Paul LaGrone, ABC Action News.